oftentimes the very thing that we think is the most ugliest part of what we've been through, there is so much power in that part. Because when we open our mouths, we can set people free. What's up, friend? Welcome to my channel. My name is MichelleAna. If you are new here, welcome. If you have already been here before and you're already subscribed, welcome back, fam. Happy New Year. Happy 22. It is the new year, and I hope that the new year is treating you well. And if it is not treating you well, I pray that peace find you exactly where you are. Today's video, I am going to be chatting about the lessons learned in 2021. I actually wrote this in my journal, but I wrote these lessons a few weeks ago. I want to say 2-ish weeks ago. I sat one night, actually I have the timestamp on my journal, 1:17 a.m. on, wow, this was on Christmas Eve? No, this was on December 22nd at 1:17 in the morning. The Lord just like downloaded these lessons learned of last year, of 2021, and I wanted to share those lessons learned with you because I think they're each very valuable, and I don't know, I just wanted to help somebody out there. So if you guys are interested in what I learned in 2021, just keep on watching. I will say that I shed a lot of tears in 2021. I mean, if you're that way too, I mean, sis, bro, let me know. But it's funny because there were tears of joy. There was a lot of tears of joy, but then there was a lot of tears of sadness and grieving certain things that, I don't know, certain things that I thought would happen by that time, by 2021. And I say that because a lot of these are very, very deep, and some of them are really not that deep, and they just are what they are. But I want to share these with you because I think that sometimes we think that just because I am on this side sharing these lessons that I learned, that I somehow now have gotten it and now I'm probably never going to go through that again. No, I actually know that I am going to learn new lessons this year. And although some of these things, it took heartbreak, it took, oh my gosh, certain conversations, it took exposing, it took disappointment for me to learn the lesson. I'm growing as a person, and I value even the lessons I didn't really like. And so the very first one is, I learned in 2021 the weakness of my humanity and the strength of my humanity. And as I think back, I'm like, man, what was I referring to when I first wrote this 2 weeks ago? Because I'm just like, wow, like I learned the reality of the fact that I got to be plugged to the Holy Ghost, to the Holy Spirit. Okay, like I have to be plugged into my faith. And I realized that there are certain things in my life that I have to have boundaries with, like tight, okay? Like I'm talking about tight boundaries with. And I think every area in your life, you should have a standard, you should have boundaries. And for me, I didn't realize that I needed boundaries in certain areas until I was confronted with situations in those particular areas that I was challenged in. And I kind of like, what's an example I can give you? So there are certain things that I didn't have to worry about when I was married, that now when I'm single again, it's kind of like, oh, I can't go that route. Like and there are things that I couldn't do, or I needed to have boundaries in marriage that now in singleness, it's like, okay, girl, go ahead. Like, go ahead, go on a date. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that when I'm married because I'm married with my man. And I mean, I on a date with another man and I'm married. Y'all know what I mean, right? So I realized that I had weaknesses in my humanity, but there are also strengths that I didn't realize I had. And when I say strength, it's just my ability to be disciplined after I have made a solid decision. Now, half the time, some of the decisions that I've had to make in my life, I just make them, and it is what it is, right? I used to be very indecisive, and now I have just this resolve about my life that it's like, God, it's what you say, and this is what I have to do. But there have been moments, okay, where it's like some decisions like I don't want to have to make. And I definitely don't want to have to make them by myself. I would much rather discuss this with a partner. I would much rather, God, you just go ahead and tell me, like, I don't want to do this on my own. And so there have been moments where I have literally looked back and said, wow, like, look at you growing in your decisiveness. Yeah, I feel like 2021 really taught me like the weaknesses of just my flesh and the strengths of my flesh too. Or like not even the strengths of my flesh, but like the areas that I have grown so much where I can see like, no, that's not it. Like that's not what we're going to do. So that's number one. Number two, the second thing I want to share is I learned a new level of being kind to myself. Listen, y'all, I didn't realize that certain behaviors, and I should say, I didn't realize that certain things that I was saying was really discouraging me to celebrate moments where I accomplished a goal. I would want to hurry up and move on from the goal and just like go on to the next thing without celebrating the thing that I accomplished. That's like one of the examples. And I had to learn that I literally had to be kind to myself, like what I was saying, what I was thinking about myself, being kind to others more than I was kind to myself. Like I had to really realize, like, girl, like you out here, like, first of all, if you don't know how to be kind to yourself, how will you know that? How will you even have a standard of other people being kind to you? You can't have people treating you all types of ways and all kinds of ways, right? And so you have to set that standard for yourself. How are you kind to yourself? The next lesson learned was people pleasing. Y'all, I did not realize that I was, with certain areas of my life, I was operating from a place of like wanting to please people. And I really think that comes from my childhood, but I feel like I was exposed to it just this year in 2021. I didn't realize it before, but now it's like, whoa. And so like I would do things where I wouldn't want to inconvenience anyone, or I wouldn't want to or like if I had asked and reached out for help and I felt like I was inconveniencing the person, I'd be like, you know what, never mind. Like it's all good. Like I got it. Like, I and that's kind of prideful too though, because I don't got it, right? But then I also was pleasing people in the form of like, I would just inconvenience myself in order to make sure that this person did not feel uncomfortable, or I was being loyal to people that weren't even loyal to me. Child, I mean, can we talk about like reciprocity even in friendship? And I'm not talking about like we gotta kiki and talk every day and like just because I do something for you now it's like a transactional type of relationship. No, I'm literally legit talking about being there for people and feeling like, you know what, like let me just go ahead and make sure that they're good, and then all the while like my tank is like mayday, like you empty over here. And so I realized that pleasing other people caused me to empty myself. And that is nobody's fault other than mine. And I had to begin, and this is a process, okay? I had to begin to unlearn the behaviors that even caused me to actually, no. Before that, I had to pinpoint what was causing me to even act that way, right? And then I had to begin to, now that I knew what those things were, right? I had to begin to unlearn those behaviors. And that is not easy and it's not natural, but it is now your responsibility because you recognize this about yourself or about myself. Now it's my responsibility to heal. It's my responsibility to now feel like I don't have to please people and inconvenience myself. And I hope that makes sense because I think that sometimes we wrap our kindness and our generosity in this nice little bow, and inside of that it's like, no, I just want to please everyone around me because I want everyone to like me, and God forbid nobody like me, you know what I mean? And so I don't know, I hope that really helps somebody because that really freed me when I realized what I was doing. I was like, oh no, we got to work on this. And so it's definitely something that I'm aware of and I'm working on. I mean, diligently, okay? The next thing, man, this was a good one. I have to say this next one was a really good one. The lesson that I learned was, this is going to sound weird at first, expectations. And here's what I'm saying. Listen to what people say and take it for what it is. Oftentimes, I feel like people tell you exactly where they are. And sometimes because we don't comprehend it, right? We communicate it, the things, the expectations and all those things, but we don't understand it and we don't comprehend it. And there's a difference there. There's a huge difference there. I mean, that could be a whole nother video. But if a person is communicating to me their expectation for a friendship, for a business partnership, etc., then I am then able to take that information, process it, and assess if I'm even able to meet that expectation. And so I learned to listen to what people were saying and expecting of me and communicating. And not only communicating whether I could or could not meet that expectation, but I made sure that this person understood my heart and why I could not meet that expectation, or why I could meet that expectation, why I was available for that expectation and why I wasn't available for that expectation. And my goodness gracious, it took a lot of, because remember, you're talking about somebody who just discovered that, you know, they were dealing with some people-pleasing issues and they needed to, you know what I'm saying, work on that. And so for me, with that being said, if I didn't ask people what the expectation was for certain things, and this was specifically like in business, I would say, but if I didn't ask people what their expectation was, I wouldn't be able to understand or comprehend what the moment was about. Right? And so the same goes for you. I think it's very important for you to vocalize your expectations, and for the partner, the partnership, or whoever is on the receiving end, understand what your expectations are. And you have to give them an opportunity to meet those expectations or to decline them. And I think that when that happens, there's a mature conversation that can happen, because then you could either move forward with whatever is next or leave it be. And you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with that. So I didn't really know how to call this lesson, but call it a lesson on expectations. The next thing was understanding the importance of emotional health or emotional intelligence. Whew! Let me tell y'all something. As an empath, I have been, kicked to the ground because I did not have my emotions. Like, I didn't know how to really manage my emotions. And I remember there were times where if something went wrong, I was in shambles, not for 1 day or 2 days. Like, I would be out for a good 72 hours, you know? And there's nothing wrong with deeply feeling something, because that's actually a part of my call. Like, I am called to feel deeply with people. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Bible talks about mourn with those who mourn, right? All that good stuff, right? And so I know it's a gift, but it's also something that I have to learn how to steward well, because if I don't, I will be out here in shambles in real life. And so it was important for me to start to learn how to utilize that gift without it being detrimental for me or in my life, or always feeling like I was in turmoil. I mean, I would be in rooms and moments and be like, oh my gosh, like, I was just fine. Why do I feel this way? Like, what, And so I often say, like, I'm a feeler. Like, in real life, like, I'm a feeler. Like, I can feel you when we're not even in the room together. And it's almost like God will put somebody's name in my heart or in my mind, and I immediately pray for this person. But I also ask, like, if I have a dream or whatever the case is, I also ask, like, God, like, is this something that you want me to share with this person? Or is this something that you just want me to, like, pray about? Like, am I supposed to reach out to this person? So I literally have that whole prayer conversation with the Lord. And so, I just learned to take care of my emotions and even learn about them even more. Hence why boundaries is so important for me as well. Because, child, the enemy will have you out here. Not I. The next thing is, it is okay to grieve the life you thought you'd have at this age. Whoo, this is personal. Yeah, so we just went through the holiday season, right? And it's interesting. The Lord has me in such a place of, like, divine peace, you guys. I mean, I am experiencing such a peace in my life. I feel God removing, like, the scales, removing the weight off of my heart. I mean, there are so many things that I want to share with you guys on my channel that I will be sharing with you guys. And y'all know I'm writing this book, and so it's just, woo, yep, we're gonna leave that right there. But it's okay to grieve the thought that your life isn't where you thought it would be. I thought by now I'd be on my third child with my husband, with my fine husband, and traveling the world with them, period. And I'm not there. And even on that, on other occasions or with other things, I thought that I would have more properties at this point, or I thought I would be, I don't know, just in whatever that means to you. But it's okay to grieve that, even while being at peace with where God has you. Because, as I said before, your emotions are not bad, right? Like, me being a feeler is not a bad thing, right? And so it's okay that I grieve that I grieve the fact that my life isn't where I thought it would be, that it, that it does something to my heart, because I could present that to God and be like, God, like, we cool and all, but, like, I really thought that we would be somewhere else by now. And so I'm going to give that to you. And as I surrender this to you, what I'm asking of you is that you pour out your infinite peace on my life, so that I have peace, and that I don't feel regret or I don't feel disappointed, or I don't let bitterness live in my heart, allowing me not to move forward with my life. Because I think sometimes we think time is so limited. Yes, time is a gift. We don't want to waste our time and all that good stuff. Y'all know I'll talk about that. But I think it's very important to understand that time is not even in our hands. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that part. I could stay stuck on that forever. The next thing is, vulnerability is powerful. Oh my God, vulnerability is power. Y'all are about to see, if you didn't see before, y'all are about to see how powerful vulnerability really is. And I don't mean vulnerability in a sense of we're just out here spilling our tea just because we want to be messy. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is vulnerability in not allowing shame to write your story, not allowing deception to write your story, not allowing your bitterness to write your story, and understanding that we are freed when we testify to what God has done in our lives. And I say that very specifically because I grew up in a Latin home where it's almost like, and I think a lot of us grew up in homes and neighborhoods and cultures where it's like, don't tell nobody that, that this happened in our family because God forbid, like, we're perfect. And I'm not saying that's exactly how I grew up, but like, it was definitely like what happens at home stays at home type stuff. And so that type of mentality had me bound for a minute, y'all. But let me tell you something. The Lord showed me last year that vulnerability is so powerful that if we think for a second that our stories are just for ourselves and to stay in the graveyard of our hearts where we kind of tuck that thing in there, if we think for a second that that pain is wasted and it just lives there, then we got it all wrong. We got it all wrong. Oftentimes, the very thing that we think is the most ugliest part of what we've been through, there is so much power in that part. Because when we open our mouths, we can set people free when we open our mouths about the things that shattered our hearts. When we testify to the goodness and faithfulness of God, of how He actually was able to rescue us from the grave that we even created for our own lives, for our own self. That is how God is lifted up and glorified in our lives, y'all. I am telling you, for years, I was just like, this is going to have to just die with me. And God said no. God said no. God said no. The next thing I learned was build on your idea and don't be afraid. Last year was the first year that I put out my influencer coaching program. And for those of you guys who know, it's called the Social Media Influencer Coaching Program. And social is spelled with soul in there. SOULCIAL. And God was just showing me that there is something very powerful that happens when we bridge that gap of our faith in our values and the ability to influence and impact our neighborhood, our community, virtually in real life. God showed me the power of that because He allowed me to experience it so that I can teach it. And so don't be afraid to build on your idea. Man, you guys, when I launched that thing within 7 days, I literally I was so blown away with the feedback, with the people who were ready. I mean, the students who were ready to invest at that level. I mean, it was mind blowing, but it's almost like God was like, oh, you surprised with that? Like, that's something light. That's something light. Of course. And so I want to encourage you guys, if you have an idea, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go for that idea. And I know I used to say this phrase and I'm almost like, I'm not going to say it anymore. But I think I used to say, feel the fear and do it anyway, or do it afraid. And it's like, yes, that makes sense. But I also understand that fear is not of God. It really is not of God. Yeah, we could feel a little hesitant, but it's like, no. Like, do you understand whose child you are? When you accept the Lord in your life, right? When you say, God, I believe in you. I don't have it all together and I'm not even all the way together. Like, I'm not perfect, right? this is you talking, like internal conversation. There's some things that I'm still liking. You know what I'm saying? I can't let it go just yet. I'm working on it. I'm making my way to it. When you accept the Lord in your life, it's almost like that, like you are a co-heir with his son Jesus. And so you have this kind of like, I don't even know the word that I want to use, because it's almost like there is no word that to even describe this access that you are granted when you are a child of God. And you want to be out here and be afraid? It's like, it's given like you don't trust him, right? It's given like, and y'all, trust me, I have been there. I have been there. I have been crippled with fear. I'm going to talk about that in one of my next videos. I have been crippled in fear. I'm talking about like I was locked up, okay, in fear. And it had me so choked up that I didn't even know life without it, until God freed me from it. And he was like, it doesn't matter what other people think about you. I gave you a direction. I gave you instructions. For me to disobey God and want to not do something because I'm afraid what people are going to think of me is, I mean, if that's not prideful, I don't know what is. It's almost like I am saying that their words or me failing publicly weighs more than what God has asked me to do. Like it weighs more than God's presence in my life. It weighs more than me saying yes to God. And so it's almost like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it with confidence. And that's what I want you guys to take from that lesson. Build your idea. Build your idea, and don't be afraid. If there are some ideas that you have, I want you to drop in the comments, I have an idea. I have an idea. And you could say more than that if you want, but you have an idea. You have an idea, and my prayer for you is that God give you the boldness and the confidence and the resources needed to get this thing out there. Now, this one is so good, y'all. Let me tell you something. This one freed me. This last lesson freed me so much. I mean, it freed me like I could just breathe so much more. Don't take things personal. Like, stop taking things personal. We create so much like hypothetical conversations in our mind, and people out here not even thinking about you. I mean, people are not even thinking, you are not that important for people to be thinking about you like that. I mean, and so we have to learn to not take things personal. I keep saying we, but like this is my lessons that I learned last year. Yes, I had to learn, like, Michelle, ain't nobody thinking about you like that. Like, stop taking that personal. Like, just because somebody didn't call you back or text you, or if somebody didn't show up when you thought it was, like, there are certain standards that I have for certain people in my life. It's like, okay, so you didn't, is this how we doing it? But then it's almost like with certain things, it's like, if there was, like I said, going back to the expectation and understanding thing, if there was no like expectation, if there was no like understanding here, then I can't take that disappointment that I feel about you not doing the thing I thought you were going to do. I can't take that personal. Like, I'm not going to take it personal. Like, people could be as subliminal as they want to be. Half the time, it's not really about you. But if you feel like it's about you and they out here posting subliminal posts, that's so immature, y'all. It doesn't even matter. It does not matter. Like, it goes back to what I said. Like, it really doesn't matter what people say about you. Like, as long as you are living right and you are treating people well and you are being integral, it doesn't matter But yes, don't take things personal. People have things going on. People have a lot going on. I mean, we have been living this pandemic for 2 years. Like it's like it's a lot going on. You know, sometimes I forget to call people. Sometimes I forget to text people back. Lord, do I forget to text people back. And it's almost like, I mean, I'm sorry, I can't text you back. I'm busy. 2021 was very personal to me. I learned so many rich lessons that cost me so many tears. I'm talking about so many tears. Things came out of nowhere. People talked bad about me. People came for my character. I mean, it was a lot of lessons learned, but I'm so thankful that the Lord has been able to soften my heart, not only toward these people, but also just toward life itself. Man, life has tried to tear me down so many times, y'all. And I could have just been like, you know what? I'm pretty much done with people, and I'm done peopling, because people gonna people, and this is not what we doing. But the Lord really restored in me. Like, people are people. Like, humans are humans, and that's one thing that we're gonna do. We're gonna be humaning all over through and through. And so it's so important for you to set boundaries. It's important for you to be self-aware of your triggers or your toxic behaviors that you need to learn about and unlearn about, right? And so I think that above all, like, of course, some of these things I wish I didn't have to learn on my own. I wish I had somebody like myself, and I'll be watching a video and that was how I was aware of the situation. But half the time, like, it's substance. I always say this phrase, flourish even here. And flourish even here is literally you being even in the most trying times of your life and understanding that there is substance, there is wisdom, there are lessons that you are gathering in this season, in this place of your life, that will be substantial and will allow you to hold weight and build your character in that process, where you'll be able to utilize that and leverage what you've learned for the next season of your life. And even now, like, I'm making this video and talking about the lessons learned, hoping that it will help you out in any way, and for you to take one thing or two things away from this video that you can apply to your life. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, and that if you're not already subscribed, child, what you waiting for? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the post notifications or the bell as well, so that you can be notified every time I post a video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video.